we've got to restore a sense of diplomacy to our foreign policy. That's why I said I won't just meet with countries that we'll meet with countries that we don't like.
That's right.
Because I remember what Kennedy said. He said we should never negotiate out of fear, but we should never fear to negotiate. That's what strong countries and strong presidents do. They talk to their adversaries. Try to resolve differences without a go to war. All those things are possible, but it starts with you. You know, I'm confident about my ability to lead this country, but I can't do it by myself. You've got to be involved. It's not just voting for me. You've got to want it. You've got to put pressure on members of Congress. You've got to put pressure on me when I'm president to make sure that we're accountable. Because if the American people hold their government accountable, then it works. And that's the opportunity that we have in this election. And if you vote for me, then I promise you we won't just win Pennsylvania, we won't just win the nomination, we can win the general election, and you and I together will change the country, we'll change the world. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't fall. All right, we got time for questions. Hold on. Everybody, you guys all just settle down. Because I want everybody to have a chance to answer questions. So we've got some microphones in the audience, and what we're going to do is we're going to go boy, girl, boy, girl. And wait for the microphone, and then what we'll do is we will, I'll try to get through as many questions as I can in half an hour. All right? Okay. I'm going to start with this young lady, and then young man, I'll call on you. Go ahead. Here, wait for the mic so that everybody can hear. You can go ahead and give it to her. Go ahead and give it to her. Because I don't want either of you falling over.
First of all, Senator, your speech was very impressive, and I'm really glad you came here. I'm glad I got the chance to see you. One issue, it's a pet peeve of mine I've yet to hear addressed. I take care of my elderly mother. I am lowly paid medical assistant. Through my church, I have found some good-hearted people to help me out. We fall between the cracks. We don't make too much money to get help from the local or state or even federal government. But I have to stay with her and help her with her bills. I am limited in my time. Right now, I have to keep asking this nice gentleman next to me what time it is because I got to run home and make her dinner.
Right.
What are your thoughts for those of us who are taking care of the elderly? We are saving the taxpayers money in terms of Medicaid. The elderly who stay at home usually do better than being shoved into a nursing home. You said a lot of wonderful things about our young people, which certainly is important to me too. But what about those of us?
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. It's a great question, and it's something that a lot of us are going through as the population gets older. You know, my grandmother is sharp as a tack, but she's got osteoporosis. She's going blind, and so she's still living by herself in her apartment, but the only way she can do that is because she's got some help. She has somebody who comes in, helps do some light cleaning, helps do shopping, a little bit of cooking. Not every day, but every other day. And so that, I think, is the wave of the future. If we can have more home care workers providing help, or tax breaks so you can hire somebody to help out, especially when you're working, then that, as you said, will actually save us money. It'll save the state money in the long term, and seniors are happier and they are healthier when they're in their own communities. And this is something that we've got to, this whole issue of long-term care is just going to become more and more of a big budget item for states and federal governments. And now's the time for us to start changing our model so that we're not always thinking in terms of institutionalized care, and we're thinking much more about helping people like you and your mother so that you have the kind of support that you need. In the long term, it'll actually save us money. That's a great question. All right.
What do you plan to do if you could put out solar-powered cars for the world?
Well, solar-powered cars. Well, it would be great if we had solar-powered cars. You know, so far we don't have the technology. We don't know how to build a solar-powered car that can really work well and is not wildly expensive. But you're exactly right that we've got to figure out how to make our cars run on something other than gasoline. And we should have started this 20, 30 years ago. You know, Brazil already, 70% of their new cars run on ethanol that they make through sugarcane, which is why they're not dependent on foreign oil the way we are. Now, if Brazil can do it, we can do it. And there are a number of different technologies that we're thinking about. One might be an electric car, where you plug it in just like you plug in an appliance at home. And some U.S. automakers are working on developing an electric car to try to compete with hybrids. You know, people are also looking at different kinds of alternative fuels. But this all requires big investments. And that's part of the reason why I've said I want to put $150 billion over 10 years into an Apollo project for energy. You know, when JFK said that he wanted to go to the moon, nobody knew at that time how to do it. But you set the goal, you put the resources behind it, and American ingenuity figures it out. We've got to take the same approach when it comes to our cars. But one of the things that we need to do in the meantime is raise fuel efficiency standards on cars. You know, if we increase fuel efficiency standards to 40 miles per gallon, we would save the equivalent of all the oil we import from the Persian Gulf. Now that would, by itself, have a significant impact in terms of lowering our demand for oil. And what happens when demand goes down? Prices go down also. So we've got to do that. This requires, by the way, the car companies to be willing to make the investments, and we can help them, but you know, sometimes they've been resistant. That's why when I told them this, I didn't make this, I made a speech about increasing fuel efficiency standards. I didn't do it in front of some environmental group. I went to Detroit in front of the automakers. And I have to say, the room was really quiet. Nobody clapped. But that's okay, because part of what you need from the next president is somebody who won't just tell you what they think you want to hear, but will tell you what you need to hear, will tell you the truth. That's what we're going to try to do. I'm just looking around here. All right, young lady back there. Good. We're going to go boy, girl, boy, girl. Remember, boys, it wasn't your turn. Go ahead. There's a microphone mic.
Senator, Trumpet Magazine, news magazine, published by Reverend Jeremiah Wright's daughters, gave Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. Award to the man who they called epitomizes greatness. That man was Louis Farrakhan. How do you feel about that? And how can praise for any anti-Semitic demagogue be considered a minor difference between you and the Reverend?
Well, that wasn't a minor difference. It was actually. No, this is a legitimate question. It wasn't a minor difference. It wasn't a minor